departing for Honolulu from Louisville's Muhammad Ali International Airport. Video shows flames on the plane's left wing and a trail of smoke. The plane then lifted slightly off the ground before crashing and exploding in a huge fireball. Video also reveals portions of a building's shredded roof next to the end of the runway.
That's correspondent Andrew Stewart reporting. Typhoon Kalamegi has left at least 85 people dead, 75 missing in the central Philippines. Many were trapped on roofs or swept away by floods in Cebu, which was hit hard in yesterday's storm. Among the dead, 6 killed in an Air Force helicopter crash. Kalamegi moved into the South China Sea on Wednesday of last week. You'll find more on these stories at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Bob Agnew.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Put the New York City election aside, the fact remains New Yorkers are fleeing the Big Apple. The New York Post reports that more than 125,000 New Yorkers fled to Florida in recent years, taking nearly $14 billion worth of income. That's just one example of those who left New York. And that was just for Florida. Others headed to Texas or another friendly area. Why is this not just happening, but accelerating? The basic cost of living, taxes, crime, overcrowding. And for those left behind, it's not going to get any better. In fact, they can expect more taxes because 1% of the top earners in New York City contribute to nearly 40% of all the New York State income taxes. Several major businesses, prominent banks, financial institutions, reducing their footprint in New York City. In fact, right now, the largest bank in the U.S., J.P. Morgan Chase, has more employees in Texas than in New York. You've heard it said, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, some are deciding, I don't need to go to New York, do I? And they're not.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
In all these years that Wellington Environmental has been my sponsor, I've never mentioned their duct cleaning services. Allergy season is here, and Wellington crews clean air ducts daily in homes and commercial buildings, also cleaning air handling units and diffusers in commercial facilities. Why? Well, because people will see black dirt and mold on the vents, or they are actually suffering from allergies. Don't be fooled by low-cost duct cleaning providers saying they charge only per vent, because once they get on site, the price will skyrocket. Wellington does not do this, never has. Wellington will give you an estimate, and you say Larry Connors, and immediately you get a 20% discount. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 314-644-4930. Make your home and business better, safer with Wellington. Be well with Wellington.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Oh, give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences.
afternoon, everyone, and happy post-election Wednesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you. Ashlyn over there, and here beginneth the 3 martini lunch with a stand still so I can read your shirt. Okay, Tracy. Sorry, jumping around. Oh, so I got this shirt. So it's a Donald Trump, and it's him in boxing gloves. And Make America Great Again. This is a vintage 2016 shirt. So this is 10 years old. Bought this in Cleveland at the Republican National Convention that I was covering for another network. And so picked this up on the street. So 10 years ago. And just Donald Trump, make America great again. I can't really read what the other things say. Ashton, can you read? What does his top thing say? What does that say there?
It says direct from NYC.
Oh, direct from NYC. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you, Ashton, for translating that for me. Yeah. So pick that up in on the street there. The street vendors, and I thought I had to have it. So there you go, and there you are. So, and by the way, on this Wednesday, this 3 martini lunch, I just have a really quick piece of advice for you that has nothing to do with the matter at hand, but everything to do with how we live. You need to stop backing into parking spaces. I'm just telling you that as a friend. Jesus loves you, but people hate you when you back into parking spaces. And I know you all have a million different excuses as to why you do it. No one has the courage to tell you how detestable you are to other people when you do it. So I just want you to know as a friend, because, part of the whole thing is when we're all friends together, that we could tell people something that is constructive and loving. And most people, so out there in the parking garages and the parking lots and things, that's not something we tend to get angry about. We'll not honk our horn at you or do anything like that. So we patiently let you do something that is so self-absorbing and unnecessary, and we just let it happen, and that's okay. Sometimes even we'll be on our way to a parking spot, and then you will stop in the middle of everything and put your rear lights on, and we have to back up and let you take 10 minutes to back up into a parking space. There's no reason to do it. There's zero reason to do it. Okay. We've been doing it the same way for 100 years, and how and where that became a thing, where people backing into parking spaces, is beyond me. But I'm warning you, I'm telling you, because no one else will, that people hate you. I'm just telling you that. Jesus loves you, but people hate you. And you can go on and on about all the reasons you do it, whatever. But if you want to go ahead and live with the fact that you are the most annoying person that anybody will run into any given day, that's fine, because that's you. But I just want to let you know that we're watching. We're doing it lovingly, but you are probably among the top 5 annoyances that people will deal with on a regular basis. I'm just letting you know that. So anyway, on to the elections, people. So here's what happened. I know that a lot of conservatives I saw them. They were all like, oh my God, what happened? What's happened to the country? What's happened to this? What's happening? You guys do know what happened, right? So, New Jersey was, well, it might have gone Republican, but it was never going to. It's a blue state. It always has been. There are people like, well, somebody had put something on the Facebook page yesterday Like, well, New Jersey did have a Republican governor. They had one a long time ago. Christie Whitman, I think, was the last one, maybe even Chris Christie, whatever. But the situation here is they had Phil Murphy. I mean, a Democrat wasn't going to win, or a Republican wasn't going to win that race. New York City, it was kind of relatively close. It wasn't that close, but Cuomo got 41% of the vote, and it was pretty formidable. But at some point, you're just going to have to. It's kind of like sometimes you're just going to do the tough love thing and let the drug addict overdose. Just let it happen. It's really, in the end, for us, I know we try to make it out to be like it's a big deal. Like New York is setting the tone for it's. No, it doesn't. It never has. I mean, we have the influential mayors who become something, but half the time it doesn't even matter. And so if New Yorkers want to have that kind of life, and they want, and the bodega operators want to have the government competing against them with government growth, they're going to, at some point, if that's what they want, they're going to have to deal with it. It's kind of like if that's what they want, that. So it's like, well, it's your life. And I know that we always think that if it's New York, then it's like it's not. I've got my daughter and my brother live in New York, but nothing that happens there really, and I get it. We can think about it all day long and figure out ways that it will affect us, but really in the end, it's not. So what we do now is we just sit back and watch the socialist experiment happen. And the chances are pretty good that the city council or even the governor at some point is going to save the New Yorkers from themselves to a certain degree. And he won't get half the stuff he wants done, which is disappointing, because I'd rather see him go full on commie and have the New Yorkers figure out what's going to happen. And then Trump will move in and won't bail them out. And that's just how it's going to work. The situation in Virginia is a different story, because Winsome Sears was an awful candidate. She was only there because she's black. There's no other reason. Conservatives have their own version of DEI, right? Their own version of DEI. And that it happens a lot where conservatives love to kind of do the look, I'm not racist, so let's put up a vacuous, empty-headed black person in there. And that's what you get, is a vacuous, empty-headed black person. And that was Winsome Sears. She had zero energy. She had no charm. And she didn't even seem to try. And on top of that, and this is the other lesson you learn, you can't walk around pretending like you never attacked President Trump. You can't walk around like she did in 2022 saying Trump's days are over, he shouldn't run for a third term. And then suddenly you're running for governor of Virginia and you think Republicans, MAGA people, are going to vote for you. And to tell you the truth, they'd rather stay home. We have learned the lesson about just going ahead and voting for somebody because they have an R next to their name. And sometimes, believe it or not, you'd rather have a Democrat in there because you could size them up, and then you can get rid of them later with a better Republican candidate, than it is to have a Republican in there who's constantly or subtly undermining the work of President Trump. So this is the best way to send Winsome Sears away forever, instead of getting her in there, and then you're never going to be able to get rid of her, and she's going to become one of these rhino Republicans, And so that's how a lot of Republicans think and conservatives think when it comes to how they're going to do things. And so she lost, and that doesn't. Youngkin won. Youngkin won by not attacking Trump, not always going along with him, but he never full-throatedly attacked President Trump. And so, he played the game right for a Republican in Virginia. I had mentioned that the lesson here is that if you're not MAGA, you're not going to win. And my buddy Chris Arps pointed out that, well, the fact is nobody MAGA really is going to win Virginia. But I told him that's probably true. But people who attack MAGA or who go after it are not going to win either, for sure. So that was Winsome Sears' lot. And we should have won Virginia, could have won Virginia with a candidate that exuded some level of intelligence or ability to win. But instead, what we did was we, unfortunately, conservatives do this a lot, that we have sometimes a tendency to have our own little plush toys, and we groom them. And then when it comes time to go ahead and do it, it's bad, and they don't work out. And Michael wants, just say it, Jamie, the Republicans got crushed last night. Trump's policies are not popular. Michael, you can say whatever you want to say, because you guys do this a lot, where you have little wins, because it's always the Special Olympics for you guys. So you have little wins and you celebrate. And it's the same thing you did with Kamala, and you got your asses handed to you in 2024. You were humiliated at that, and at the House and Senate level. But so you guys can jump around any way you want to, like you just ran a marathon, and that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, we don't need to sit here and suck our thumbs about this. You guys can sit there and talk a bunch of fake stuff, like, oh, look, there's a Democrat won in New Jersey. I was like, no kidding. Oh, Mamdani won in New York. It's like, no kidding. And you look at midterm elections. You're probably not old enough to remember this, but you were probably in Glee Club at the time. But the fact of the matter is, Obama and those guys got their asses handed to them in 2010 and 2012. It's off-year elections. Midterms are always like that. The midterms will not be like that this time around, however. 2022 midterms changed because the Rhino Republicans sat on their butts, and Lindsey Graham decided to talk about putting abortion back into federal law after the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. The minute Lindsey Graham started running his mouth and sabotaging things for the Republicans by saying we need to put the federalize abortion laws, make it illegal on federal. We've already been there, done that. President Trump achieved that with the Supreme Court, and now you want to turn around and put it back into federal law? Well, nothing attracts a liberal like Michael Burton or any when it's time for them to step up in defense of killing babies. I mean, they'll all flock to the polls that way, because that's one of their big motivating factors, is to be able to suck a baby out of the womb and call that civil rights. So that'll attract them always to a polling outfit, and 2022 became about abortion. So, and because Lindsey Graham made it that way, because Lindsey Graham is a saboteur. So anyway, that's how that whole thing kind of worked out in 2020. But I don't need to argue details for you, because you guys can go ahead and celebrate. But none of it. We had a bad candidate in Virginia, and that was pretty much it. But the rest, I mean, these are blue states. I mean, I don't know what, I mean, you guys, it'd be different if it was like a red state, like when we kicked your ass in 2024 and turned blue states red and blue counties red and all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you though that there is kind of a sleeping type of giant that we do have to look out for. It wouldn't occur to someone like Michael Burton because they don't think a whole lot and aren't really detail oriented. But if you look at some of the school board races around the country, and specifically if you look towards Bucks County, you are the Republicans at school board levels are in deep trouble. Conservatives are in deep trouble and need to figure out a different plan, because what happened in Bucks County, and Michael, I'll give you guys a tip, since you guys always need a little, always need a few training wheels to get your brain going. If you really want to gloat, I would go to the school board race in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, that I'm going to talk to Tim Jones about on the other side of this. So I'll actually give you something that you can actually celebrate, Michael, that actually is of substance, since it didn't occur to you. So you can do that. But Tim Jones is going to join me on the other side of this. And by the way, in Virginia, there's a reason why President Trump didn't endorse Winsome Sears. He didn't even have her on the group telecall when they were doing that thing, because Winsome Sears is a snake and a rhino, and wasn't part of she actively lobbied against President Trump running in 2022. And we don't need people like that around. I know there's a whole 80-20 nonsense, but we're done with that too.
In New York City's mayoral race, he has not by name endorsed Winsome Sears in Virginia's gubernatorial race. Why is that?
Look, as you know from this podium, I'm quite limited in what I can say with regards to ongoing political elections. I think the president has spoken for himself and what he wants to see take place in these elections today.
I love how Carolyn just didn't want to say it, so she just said something really super innocuous, and that was fun. Yeah, people. Hey, Vicky. She said, I think she kind of she kind of chimed in like, what again is wrong with backing into parking spaces? I'm like, it's really annoying. It just makes people stop there whatever they're doing so you can do that. It's not necessary. And again, I always say, Jesus loves you. But people don't like you when you do that. So you know what you could do? You could keep a little Jesus statue right on your dashboard. Like a little statue of Jesus. I love those. I love when people have statues of Mary and Jesus. I one time had a statue of the patron saint of parking spaces, and there actually is one. Look it up. You can buy one on Amazon right now, the patron saint of parking spaces. It'll find you a parking space. Oh, yeah, you put a little Jesus on your dashboard, and you can do whatever you want to. So you can back in. You could try to park on top of another car, and Jesus will still approve because he loves you. I know that's not particularly Christian doctrine, but you know what I'm saying. All right, Tim Jones, straight ahead. That's the way to live your life. You allow too much to go by, and that won't do. No, lover.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that the Walner home selling team, we're good at what we do. I'm really happy to say we, because I'm really happy to be part of the Walner selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, the number one home selling team in the Berkshire Hathaway network all over the state, people. And so what we do, just talking to somebody today about listing a home, and when what we do is we create a feeding frenzy over your home. We're really good at classing it up, the pictures, making it attractive, giving you tips on how best to present it, all that kind of thing. And we do the open houses. We push it out on the internet and make sure everybody knows about it. So we work really hard and spend a lot of money marketing your home, thus getting you the best price. So if you're going to be selling your home, nobody does it better than the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. And on the other end, I, for instance, do more of the buyer's agency stuff. So I represent people who are looking for a home. And in doing so, I actually work pretty hard to kind of negotiate the best price for you and the best terms and all that kind of stuff. And that's how you want to do it, because you want to make sure you've got somebody representing you. And that's what I do. So you can't lose with the Walner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway, Rodney and Jen and the rest of the team that I am on. Just excellent people, and will help you get that home sold or get you into your dream home. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about the Gemini Wealth Group, GeminiWealthGroup.com. Yes, friends, let me tell you, Jeff Portman and his team, they're really good at what they do in terms, here's the goal. With your retirement, and you know, people are living 20, 30 years after they retire, sometimes even 40 years, and you want to make sure that you have all the money you need in your retirement. And the other aspect of that is they can craft a plan where you're so well diversified in your investments, in your 401k, that kind of thing, that you're actually making money off of the dividends, and the regular and the main part is just sitting there the whole time. That's the goal. And it's achievable, and they can do that at the Gemini Wealth Group, making sure also that you're plotting out what your expenses are going to be when it comes to your health care, when it comes to your taxes, when it comes to your living arrangements, all that kind of stuff. They can work it out for you at the Gemini Wealth Group, strong supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio, the GeminiWealthGroup.com. That's the GeminiWealthGroup.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy 3 martini lunch to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Well, the road rolls out like a welcome night to a better place than the one we're at.
Julie was at the Boz Scaggs concert last night,
No kind of plan.
and guess it was fantastic with her 2 sons. And she said everyone at the concert parked backwards. It was weird. I don't know. Were they in Ford F-150s by any chance? And like 57 years old? I don't know. 60. Oh. Julie said it was boring. The kid boys fell asleep. Oh. It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, I hate like complaining about traffic stuff, but that is funny. It's a thing, though, and it's recently developed. Phil Valencia pointed out that he confirmed my claim that there is a parking lot saint you can actually put up on your dashboard as Sister Cabrini. I'm not kidding you. There's a patron saint of television, St. Clair. I have a glow in the dark patron saint of television, and that's because she literally, one of her miracles was seeing a vision on a wall. I don't think they really called. I don't think like the church called her the patron saint of television, but she saw a vision on the wall. But yeah, so Boz was boring. Too bad. That's all right. At least you tried, though. All right, so I talked about what I consider to be a really concerning development, and it wasn't on necessarily the national scale, or it wasn't even necessarily on the scale when it comes to New York or Virginia, or even, for that matter, New Jersey. So this happened in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and in Bucks County, the school board Republicans, the conservatives, were absolutely, totally, and completely wiped out. Now, the reason why this is really super important is because Bucks County was ground zero. And Tim Jones, hang on, because I'm trying to set this up because I know you know so much about this kind of stuff. And thanks for your patience. Bucks County, Pennsylvania was ground zero for the conservative takeover of school boards back in 2021. And this was regarding books and some of the LGBTQ policies and that kind of thing. And then the Democrats flipped both boards back in 2023. And then last night, the Democrats ousted all Republicans from two of the school boards in Bucks County. Conservative losses in other school board races have been happening as well. And the issue here, though, too, and even though this was still an off-year election, but in November, because a lot of our solutions always been, we need to have these elections in November and not April. Well, it turns out that didn't help conservatives in Pennsylvania, but also it was not a widespread national day of voting. And Democrats always take full advantage of those kinds of off-year elections. So here's the other thing. This is why this is super important, and why I'd be more worried about this than about what happened in New York or even what happened in Virginia. New Jersey was not going to have a Republican governor this time. We thought maybe he would, but not. Anyway, Bucks County is basically a state bellwether county in Pennsylvania. With the exception of 2016, every person who carried Bucks County won Pennsylvania for the U.S. presidency from 1980 all the way to 2024. The only thing that didn't happen was in 2016, but anyone who carries Bucks County in Pennsylvania wins Pennsylvania. So this is also true, and this is actually fascinating here, and this is why we need to be really super careful. So in 2024, Bucks County gave Donald Trump 49.39% and Kamala Harris 49.32%. So that was a 0.07% margin, which means Bucks County is absolutely a lightning zone in the national electoral process because winning Pennsylvania is, of course, important. So that's where we're at. And the school board races sometimes aren't always a big indication of that. But, man, you're looking at what's going on in Francis Howell and even in Rockwood, some places like that, Lindbergh, places like that, where liberal crazies are taking over. And there's got to be a lot of attention paid to that. A lot of times we pay so much attention to the national scale. I don't even care about New York. This kind of stuff will cook our goose, believe me. Hey, Tim Jones, how you doing, my friend?
Good afternoon, Jamie. Great to be back with you. And yes, for all of our dense, dullard Democrat friends, I'm so glad they're celebrating today's top headline that Democrats won in Blue America.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Now, Jamie, the question we have to ask ourselves, are all these regions of Blue America irredeemable or not? Because, see, that's where I get concerned. And will that continue to spread? And the second point to the Democrats, as you pointed out, Jamie, they're having their little party fest today and their big ticker tape parades because the Democrats won in Democrat areas.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, celebrating that is like reading the last page of the book or watching the last 5 minutes of the movie. This is all the conclusion. And what we have to look at is how do we get to this point? And how we got to this point is something that Charlie Kirk was realizing and was deeply tapping into. And that's why the lunatic left had to eradicate and terminate and kill him. And that's the fact that politics and these political snapshots in time, like what we saw yesterday, are way downstream and the end result of what you were just referring to, and that is our culture. A bunch of voters didn't just wake up yesterday and go, I'm going to vote for a communist to run New York City. That is the result, Jamie, of decades and decades of not just liberal, not just Democrat, but of leftist, socialist, godless Marxism and anti-American rhetoric being taught in our schools, as you just pointed out. We, for a long time, focused most heavily on higher education, right? Because we knew that was happening because those crazy liberal leftist professors, they were the ones making the headlines 10, 15, 20 years ago. Holy smokes, how horrible has Harvard become and Yale and all the other grand old, now failed elitist universities. But what we were ignoring or not paying attention to enough of was the fact that the left realized that if you waited till college to try to indoctrinate people, you weren't getting enough folks because by then young people's minds were starting to form and some of them would rebel to that. So what do? You start in pre-kindergarten.
Right.
When the kids don't know an apple from an orange, from a boy, from a girl, that, they don't know that their body parts are actually not interchangeable like a Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. And you soak all this stuff in, not just for a year or two, but for generations. And so, Jamie, that's how we got a bunch of crazed, young, largely white, angry liberals to elect a communist to run the once mighty Big Apple.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, as we relate to Bucks County, there was some good news that you're going to relay to us in a few minutes coming out of Rockwood regarding some common sense tax issues. But even that was really uncomfortably close. But if you look at, like, for instance, in Bucks County and beyond, I think what's happening, Tim, in a large part, listen, you're going to always have a bounce back or a boomerang effect on any president and the party when they are acting very highly consequentially. So, and maybe even sometimes even provocatively. Obama was a great example of that. So it was right after the election of 2008, 2010 was all Republican. But that's because President Obama was very action-oriented and provocative and consequential in his actions. President Trump was the same way. And what happened then too, though, is that Democrats were so busy basking in the glow of getting Obama elected, they didn't work hard enough in 2010. Republicans in 2022 suffered the same fate. And I believe in 2026, we can't just be all happy that President Trump is there. We actually have to follow through on the agenda and communicate and be out there instead of just celebrating for the 2 years and suddenly getting surprised when everything changes over.
Yeah, Jamie, two things excite voters, and that would be issues, monumental issues like what you were just describing that voters feel they need to react to, and energizing candidates. And so a few points here. Number one, to continue to prove my beloved bozo of a friend, Representative Michael Butler, wrong once again, like you already have. If Donald Trump's policies were so unpopular, then why was he the first Republican presidential candidate in 20 years to win the popular vote barely 12 months ago?
Oh, yeah. No,
and
I mean,
to sweep the 7 contested battleground states, right? And to make sure that Republicans held the House and the Senate. So if those ideas are so unpopular, I mean, are Americans that are we that finicky? Are we that persnickety? Or does it depend on what you do in every life? You cannot take any election for granted. You always have to have motivating issues and you have to have energizing candidates. So Donald Trump's positions are popular because they were popular 12 years ago when after he won last November, how many different networks and propagators were predicting the total demise of the Democratic Party? I didn't do that because I knew the Democratic Party wasn't going to fold up their tents, lock their doors, and leave the country. No, they were going to buckle down and they were going to do what they could do. Now, they still carry the most unfavorable rating that they've ever carried. But in deep blue America, they are wildly popular because you know what's happening? New school leftist Marxists are beating old school Democratic moderates. So leftists are beating liberals. Blue America is getting bluer. Red America is getting redder and holding its own. Just look at the state of Florida, which used to be a swing state, which is no longer not. And so now we have a tale of two Americas. And Jamie, that's the question as to where we're going to go. So no, yesterday's election, and my good friends at the Federalist really summarized this really well in one of their headlines today. They basically said yesterday's election was not a harbinger of things to come. It is a wake-up call for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And that is to continue to know where a majority of Americans are on the most important motivating issues. And then to follow up on the discussion you just had in your first segment, to make sure you're electing the right candidates who can deliver that message and energize those voters and get them to the polls.
Well, and absolutely. And also, stop
and Jamie, you cannot go back to the neocon Mitt Romney, John McCain era, or we will lose every election moving forward.
Right. And even if you want to just call it like we can't go back as of like 6 months, you can't go back to a Winsome Sears candidacy. She was a weak candidate. She already had the anti-Trump stain all over her because the dye pack blew up in 2022 when she said Trump shouldn't run for a third term and blah, blah, blah. So it didn't matter what she said after that. Anybody who is a conservative in Virginia is probably is why it used to be, oh, yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll do the Reagan 80-20 and we'll do the R anyway. They're like, no, we're not doing that anymore because this way we get rid of her. So we've got a governor for 4 years who's Democrat. We'll come back in 4 years with somebody who is more of the MAGA generation or at least more conservative than Winsome Sears was. And didn't criticize Donald Trump to his face, practically. So it was just bad all around.
She apparently completely forgot and then ignored exactly what Glenn Youngkin did when he won the governorship, which is exactly what you were describing that Republicans have to do in these difficult, purplish, almost blue states. I think, Jamie, a lot of us have a lot of nostalgia for Virginia because, cradle of the representative republic, home of Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful state. It's a wonderful state. Outstate Virginia is full of hardcore great American patriot hillbillies like those of us here in Missouri.
Yeah.
But Jamie, Northern Virginia is gone. And we can't let the nostalgia of the days of yore convince us that Virginia is something that it's not. And so Republicans are only going to win Virginia if like the planets, the moons, and the stars all line up exactly perfectly and we have a really good night, because it's largely a lost state.
Or you fire more federal employees and make a move.
That
something
too.
like that too. Yeah.
We lost Virginia, Jamie, in the Obama years. The Obamatons flooded into Northern Virginia. And the last point on Obama, you're so right about him. Even though he won the popular vote twice and won the White House, he also bears that this is a lot of things Democrats don't want to remember because they'd rather forget. Under Obama's tenure, more Democrats lost on the level below presidency. So every other office in the land, more Democrats lost under Obama, and they lost more seats, governors, state reps, state senators, congressmen, dog catchers than ever before in our nation's history under a president of the same party. Over 1,500 legislative seats were lost during the 8 years of Obama around the nation.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot, so much work that we all need to do. And there is one bright spot. I know that you and Chris are going to talk about this later on your show, but I wanted to get your perspective on it too. And that is that tax hike proposal in Rockwood. That was super good news. It lost.
Jamie, not only in Rockwood, but in various other jurisdictions around the state of Missouri, there were 10 tax increase proposals down in southwest Missouri surrounding Taney County. 8 of them failed. Here in our region, Ladue and Festus shot down an internet sales tax increase. And the biggest David versus Goliath defeat was in my home district of Rockwood, where taxpayers said no to a massive property tax increase, despite being completely outmaneuvered by the lunatic left, who decided to use a stealth election in an off year in November, used $250,000 of taxpayer money, where they flooded our mailboxes with these glossy, colorful, informational pamphlet pieces paid for by taxpayers. And the opposition had very little time to react to this, very little money, but definitely motivated the grassroots on the ground. And I want to give a huge shout out to Representative Ben Keithley out of Chesterfield and Dennis Ganal and Niall Stevens of Mo Tax Relief Now, who are instrumental in defeating this massive money grab for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, and it was a margin though of 500 votes. But the key part of that is, it's my understanding like only 20,000 people voted in that election. So we need to kind of maybe do better.
14% turnout. 14% turnout. Jamie, our Missouri legislature needs to do some massive systemic election integrity reform. Yes, we've done some great things with paper ballots and things of that sort. We need to eliminate these off.
Oh, you need to put another quarter in the Opal machine there, buddy. That's what happens. It's just called, you got to put 50 cents in first. It's like a vacuum at a gas station. You put 50 cents in or 75 cents in, and it goes a little ways longer. But if it runs out, it runs out. So, well, we'll just take a break real quick, because I do want to finish this up with him. So we'll take a break with him. We'll start over is what we'll do. Tim can be my lucky penny, and I will be his 4-leaf clover. How does that sound when we come back? Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 3 Martini Lunch, and it's Common Sense Radio. Happy Wednesday. And to all of you and yours.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. JC's Wayback Machine.
It is going to be a cold weekend, but we're going to visit with Jenna Fisher from The Office. That should warm things up. I left Washington, D.C. 43 years ago this week I'm going to tell you about the two enormous movie stars I ran into on my final day there. And as always, great songs you know and love, but that don't get played on the radio anymore. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship, the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
On the next,
Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story, my journey from cowboy to bull rider.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. So here's the deal. Here's the plan. We kind of talked so long, we ran out of time, and then if I had Tim back on here, we'd have like 50 seconds, and we've got a couple of things we need to wrap up. It's a couple of important things you need to know about voter turnout and next steps and all that kind of thing. So I'm just going to bring him back, and we'll wrap it up in about 5 minutes or so. And then I want to take you to Mexico, and there's something really amazing happening there in the wake of a murder of a mayor. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my life. But it's almost full-on rebellion against the cartels and the government in Mexico. So it's kind of a beautiful thing, but we'll see what happens. On this happy Wednesday post-election day, it's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch, and Tim Jones going to double back here really quickly. We'll wrap things up, and then it's on to the rest of the 3 Martini Lunch. It's Common Sense Radio, News Talk STL.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-335-2299. That's 800-335-2299.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump says the results from this week's elections were not good news for his party.
If you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor.
And the president wants Senate GOP leadership to do away with the filibuster. There is opposition to that on the Hill. But the president says there will be big problems for the country if, in fact, Democrats regain control of the Senate next year.
They're going to pack the court. They're going to make D.C. a state. And they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. So now they pick up 2 states. They pick up 4 senators.
The Trump administration, meanwhile, warning there could be chaos in the skies next week if the government shutdown drags on. Here's White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
Air travel has been disrupted with each passing day of the shutdown, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the situation will only get worse as the financial pressure grows on air traffic controllers and TSA employees who are forced to work without pay. Duffy warns there could be mass chaos if the stalemate lasts another week, predicting more flight delays and cancellations, and the possibility of closing certain parts of the airspace. Greg Clugston, Washington.
One prominent British retailer says a recent cyber attack that prevented shoppers from buying online cost it a bundle.
Marks and Spencer saw its half-year profits cut by more than half as a result of the attack that brought its online business to a grinding halt. M&S says its underlying pre-tax profits tumbled 55.4% to $240 million in the 6 months ending September 27th, largely on the back of a 40% collapse in online home and fashion sales. Robust food sales did help to cushion the blow somewhat. Rich Thomason reporting.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the sunshine's not giving up on us today. Plenty of it out there with a high temperature approaching 70 degrees by this afternoon. I have it at 69, but we could easily hit 70. Still dry, and again, so much sun. Nice southwesterly breeze at about, 8 to 12 miles per hour. Lows tonight in the 50s, highs tomorrow in the mid-60s under mostly sunny skies. And we got a chance of some rain by Friday morning and again Friday afternoon to the south. And we could see a few showers on Saturday, too. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Severe storms are just part of life here in St. Louis, and that means your roof absorbs a lot of wear and tear. It might be time to replace it to keep the rest of your house or your business safe. I'm Mike Ferguson for TB Exteriors. Whether it's storm repair or a complete roof replacement, TB Exteriors has been providing roofing, gutter, siding, and window exteriors throughout St. Louis. And this is important, they'll assist you with insurance claims. Visit tbexteriors.com to schedule a free estimate.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Cuando se marea dolores, cuando se quema de amores, cuando se inmala su vela, cuando se inmala dolores, cuando se inmala dolores, cuando se quema de amores.
Time for the second martini. Come on, people. Bottoms up. Oh, man, I must have seen these guys 100 times. Well, maybe not 100, but 10. The Gypsy Kings, they would play, and they had play their guitars, acoustic guitars, and they always had holes, tape over the holes in the guitars. I don't know what that did, but created a great sound. Hey, some people on the left were a little horrified by Zoran's speech, victory speech last night, so we'll have that for you. Plus, total rebellion in Mexico after another cartel killing. I just want to thank Tim Jones for sticking around, because it's like Tim's like, hey, I got a show at 4, dude. So it's like, don't keep me too long. I know. So thank you for that, because we had a little technical difficulty. Want to just double back really quickly to what we were talking about before on the I think it kind of began with the 14% voter turnout in Rockwood, which is surprising considering what was at stake. So I'm not quite sure whether people just have the luxury of not having to care or what that's all about, Tim Jones.
First of all, Jamie, is this thing on? Hello?
Yes, it is on. Yes.
I put another quarter in the Opal machine. That was the last thing I heard you say.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know what happens. Goes to the machine. It's the revenge of what's his face, Merrick Garland, in the censorship machine. So, Jamie, look, it's an off year. We don't have November off-year elections in Missouri, hardly ever. But the taxing jurisdictions, the cities, the county, the Municrats, the Educrats, all the people that want to steal, because that's what taxation is. It's some version of legalized highway robbery. They've learned that the only way they're going to pull the wool over the eyes of the voters is to have an election when they think most people aren't looking, and then get their voters to the polls.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not surprised. I'm disappointed in the turnout, but I'm not surprised by it. And on the other hand, it's like you have to tell people, hey, everyone, stop what you're doing. Everything that you're doing right now, Republicans, conservatives, Jamie, we're running businesses. While the Democrats are sitting home listening to Kami Mandami tell them last night, literally in his acceptance speech, that the government will do everything for you now. He literally said that. How far we've fallen from the moderate Democrat days of Bill Clinton when he uttered the words, the era of big government is over. Now here we are with Mandami saying the era of government doing everything for you is now here. And so these taxing jurisdictions intentionally hold these elections when they think most people aren't looking or paying attention.
Yeah.
And so the first thing we had to do was tell people there's an election this November when there never, ever is. And Jamie, there was one thing on the ballot. And so we had to energize people to go vote no on something that the school district was trying to convince them was the only way they were going to keep teachers teaching in the classroom when they're dealing with a student population that has declined over 2,500 students. Jamie, what is that, the size of a high school these days?
Yeah.
So Rockwood School District has lost essentially the entire population of a high school over the last 10 years. They're down over 2,500 students. Have they consolidated any services? Have they closed any antiquated buildings? Have they done anything to reduce their costs? No, heck no. They just want to have the pigs back at the trough. They claim this was for teacher salaries. I don't believe them, Jamie, because every time you turn around, they've hired or appointed another deputy vice associate principal for something. So their bureaucracy has skyrocketed. Their population base has fallen, but yet they're trying to con voters into raising their own property taxes in a time where everybody's complaining about high property taxes are, so we can, quote, give the teachers more money. I don't think, thankfully, Jamie, a majority of voters did not buy the snake oil they were selling. And this was replicated around the state in other areas where voters rejected internet use taxes and other property tax increases. Now, Jamie, in some of the blue areas, they passed those measures.
Yeah.
But I think it's notable that voters in Ladue, of all places, turned one down.
Yeah, well, I right, exactly. Ladue, where the homes are, $3 million. So of course, hey, but how did Rockwood lose 2,500 students? Is that because they moved out of the district or moved into private schools? Oh, attrition.
Yeah, Jamie,
Okay.
I think it's the attrition of St. Louis County.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri in general has not grown dramatically over the last 2-3 decades. That's why we lost a congressional seat 10 years ago. We haven't lost population as a state, but we haven't grown as rapidly as our neighbors to the south, the southeast, and the southwest because of other issues we'll have to discuss another day regarding our tax policies and our regulation policies and our education policies and all the other policies. The states in the south, the southeast, and the southwest are cutting taxes, reducing regulations, promoting universal school choice. And Missouri is kind of plodding behind in their wake and not moving as quickly enough. So we're continuing to lose population. The parts of the state that are growing are the redder parts of the state, of which St. Louis County is not. And so that's why Rockwood has lost students, in my personal opinion.
And one more thing then before you go. I've heard you talk about this before, and I've seen it before. How is it legal for the taxpayer dollars to be used for campaign literature? How is that legal?
It shouldn't be, but they do it under the guise of providing informational material as to what the district is proposing to do with your tax dollars. It should be completely and utterly and totally prohibited. That's another thing we should add to the mix, along with closing primaries and eradicating these off year cycle special elections for the taxing entities.
Because Sam Page did that with the proposition.
Yes.
It's not acceptable.
It's an incredibly gray area, Jamie, that needs to be tightened down and buttoned up.
Most definitely. There shouldn't be a gray area, when it comes to the use of taxpayer funds. That's the worst place to have a gray area. So
yes. Yeah. So Jamie, ultimately what I would say is with this mixed bag of results, it's not a harbinger of things that necessarily have to come, but it is a wake-up call for everyone on the center-right side of the political spectrum that if you want to save your country, You're going to have to work really hard for it. You're going to have to message properly, and you're going to have good candidates.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, buddy. Well, listen, we'll see you and Chris Arps for the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show at 4 o'clock here on Newstalk. It's always awesome during drive time, and certainly appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you, Jamie. Continue to have the awesome show you do, my man.
All right. Thank you so much. That's the great Tim Jones. All right. So this Zoran bit last night, I mean, it kind of played out almost like a Disney movie, you know, where the villain is playing really nice and he's got, you know, and then he finally is exactly where he be, and right where I plan to be. And so suddenly they turn into a monster. Now I am, you know, I'm the all-powerful wizard. You know, hitting everybody with lightning. That's exactly what the Zoran speech, how it came across, even to some liberals. Here's a quick taste of it, though.
Anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him. It is the city that gave rise to him.
Yeah, this dude thinks he has illusions and delusions that he's going to be the next Barack Obama. But I got news for him, though. Once he keeps on running his mouth like a male and crazed version of AOC or worse, Mussolini, the Democrats are not going to embrace him like they did Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a nice little plush toy for them, kind of kept his mouth shut, groomed, and then appeared at the national convention, all this kind of stuff. This guy is a 34-year-old trust fund baby jihadist commie who believes his own press and what mommy and daddy have always told him. And this guy is as arrogant as the day is long, and he's going to make some major, major mistakes. And when all is said and done, he's not going to have the rise that, for instance, a guy like Barack Obama did, because he has a few more speeches in him before he totally has the Democrats running for the hills.
And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power.
Yeah, revenge against the white man. That's what Zoran is promising right there. We're not going to let any more white guys like Donald Trump thrive in New York. Isn't that if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere? Well, Zoran wants to make sure nobody makes it there except everybody on the same level.
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one.
So this is Zoran talking to New York and already trying to position himself to run against President Trump at some point. So this guy, it wasn't even an hour after his victory that he was already talking past New Yorkers and on to, I'm the next guy to take on Donald Trump.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you.
By the way, there's not a chance in hell Donald Trump is watching this. And this is another example of the arrogance and self-absorption that is part of Zoran. This guy is a megalomaniac, a tireless narcissist, and he actually has the belief that the president of the United States of America, who has accomplished more than Zoran ever will if he lives to be 500 years old, is sitting down in front of a TV or whatever and watching Zoran. Because in Zoran's mind, of course, the president of the United States is watching me. I'm Zoran. Mommy and daddy put me through a $91,000 school. Everybody's told me how amazing I am. So, of course, Donald Trump is watching Zoran.
4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
So anyway, you get the picture here, and this guy, believe me, by the time the week is over, you will grow to despise him 100 times more than you already do. And the people on the left will grow to despise him more gradually. So Van Jones, who is not exactly a conservative, right? In fact, sometimes, I mean, he is as anti-Trump as you could possibly get. And by the way, last night, of course, President Trump was, I think, on his way to Florida or something for an economic forum, because President Trump actually is doing something positive for the economy in the country instead of promising to stick his fangs in it and suck all the blood out of it the way Zoran is. So anyway, Van Jones is not a huge conservative by any stretch. He's a liberal, and some may even say left. And he watched this speech, and he's like, I don't know about this dude.
I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. And I think that Mamdani is the one you need to hear from tonight. There are a lot of people trying to figure out, can I get on this train with him or not? Is he going to include me? Is he going to be more of a class warrior even in office? I think he missed a chance tonight to open up and bring more people into the tent. I think his tone was sharp. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here, where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight. And there was some other voice on stage.
Yeah. In other words, Mamdani is a total phony and is not unlike the snake in the Jungle Book, presenting himself or the Cheshire Cat or whatever way you want to do it. So we'll figure out which is the real Mamdani. And is this kind of how jihadists do it, or is it how commies do it, or whatever? Because you're usually like socialists and people like that generally are one way. They're not doing TikTok videos and talking and smiling and doing things. They're serious business. So Mamdani basically was trying to present himself as something on his TikTok videos, everything else. And then once he gets the seat, once he gets to New York, he doesn't even care about New Yorkers. All he cares about is himself and his anger and going after President Trump. And I think this guy is going to be an absolute disaster. But I think New Yorkers who voted him in deserve it. And at some point, you like I said earlier in the show, you have to let drug addicts overdose. You gotta let some people who are harming themselves go ahead and do it, because it's not your responsibility. And so this guy is going to be a disaster. He'll probably be indicted in about 36 months or whatever it happens to be. This guy's going to be the worst thing that ever happened in New York. And guess what? Nobody could be more deserving of the worst thing to happen in New York than the people of New York who voted for him.
Of a character switch here, where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight. And there was some other voice on stage. That said, he's very young, and he just pulled off something that's very, very difficult. And I wouldn't write him off, but I think he missed an opportunity to open himself up tonight. And I think that will probably cost him going forward.
Yeah. Van Jones says the same thing. It'll probably cost him going forward. And again, this is what happens when I explained this yesterday, which is why I thought there was still a chance that Cuomo might be able to pull it off, because at some point, Mamdani, Zoran Mamdani was a propped up creation of the news media and The View and CNN and all the other people who love having their little cutesy pie plush toys and tokens. And so they thought, oh, let's just kind of do this and we'll have him go up there and we'll talk about what an amazing prince he is and all this kind of stuff. And then suddenly he gets up there on the stage after winning and turns into a monster. Pretty crazy, but predictable.
We will hold bad landlords to account because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable taking advantage of their tenants.
Yeah. So you get the picture here. This is the revenge tour of the minority against Whitey, and that's what it's going to be. And I guarantee you, the people who are going to be caught up in his crusade are going to be more than just Whitey, and that's where we'll see the true demise of Zoran. Because he's reckless, and we already can see that. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, good luck, New York. While you're biting the Big Apple, bite this. Oh, the boss is here. Because I said bite on the air. I knew it. Hey, coming up, you see what's happening in Mexico? It's really pretty amazing. There's an open rebellion against the cartels and against the government. It's pretty crazy. All that's coming up here on the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
I talked to Harry Parker today, Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. Harry, we're getting into kind of the community love Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. So they always love law enforcement and our veterans and everything else. But on Veterans Day, you will get some great discounts on the amazing food and drink and beyond at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. Right there, Edwardsville, St. Peter's, as well as Creve Coeur, where the original store is. So Harry does this all the time on Veterans Day. So I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to have him on Veterans Day so we can get to the bottom of it. Normally, it's free fish and chips, which is really super cool. And fish and chips are delicious at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. Don't forget also, for all of your love of the restaurants and sitting down and having your drinks and just chatting, listening to music, Pennsylvania Slim, watching the beautiful tropical fish in the gigantic aquariums, and just taking in the whole Nolans vibe. The food truck is really pretty cool too. So we've got Harry and Erica who run the food truck, and they do an amazing job. And you can either rent the food truck for a big, beautiful party you're having, or you can go on the web, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com, and find out where the food truck might happen to be and go catch up with it and get some of that food just right out of the truck there, wherever you might want to be as you're enjoying a beautiful day, for instance, like today. So check it out. I love the fish tacos. The portions are amazing at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. 2 gigantic fish tacos, which are awesome. And, of course, beautiful sides of your choice. And then the crawfish etouffee. They've got the gumbo. I mean, just on down the line. It is amazing, beautiful food. recipes coming from the heritage of Harry Parker and his family down there in New Orleans. Cut their own fish, make their own sauces, and do all that kind of stuff. And it is pretty amazing what you're going to find at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill. Longtime supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio. Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Brian Pichelle. He is the executive director of Dogs for Our Brave.
I've been very blessed to have incredible support in my life as I battled through my journey of coming back from Iraq and dealing with, PTSD and everything I saw and witnessed as a medic. Not all veterans have that type of support. And ultimately, that's why I say we are a gift of love. We are a gift. We want to be that beacon of hope.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stigall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here and Ashton over there, and it's a 3 martini lunch. Interesting comments on the Facebook page. Michael Burden, who I think is is he a representative? Because one of his goofball colleagues the other day tried to blame Mike Kehoe for food stamp cuts, and Michael's repeating the same old thing that is dictated from his personal Jesus, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, get out there and just blame Donald Trump. They'll buy it.
And so Michael's trying to sling this hash about Donald Trump letting poor children go hungry. Once again, you're delusional, dude. Nobody believes that Donald Trump is responsible for letting children go hungry. Everybody believes it's you and your dark, soulless Democrat Party that's doing it. Nobody believes that Donald Trump is letting children starve, or for that matter, cutting SNAP benefits. By the way, how many children did you feed today, dude? 0. I guarantee you. Not one of your Democrat people fed anybody today who needed it. Because you guys believe that it's the government's job because you're too lazy and uncreative to provide a groundwork for people to prosper. That's why you have the government do all the work for you, because you're lazy, you're shiftless, you're uncreative, and pretty much worthless to the rest of us. So that's my answer to that one. Anyway, good luck with all that, though. It's Donald Trump's fault. Nobody believes you. Keep looking in the mirror. Keep practicing. Grab Rabbi Schumer and the rabbinical choir and all kind of just keep on mouthing the same old thing because it's fun to watch. Christopher Slater, thank you for that, man. Megan Green, he says Megan Green praised Mamdani's speech. She's the what is she, comptroller or something? What the hell? I don't know. Or president of the board of aldermen? Yeah, that's it. She compared him to Obama on her Facebook page. What white liberal isn't comparing Zoran to Obama? Because white liberals love to have their little tokens and their little people that they use to prevent people from thinking they're Islamophobic. It's a virtue signal, you see. It's kind of like the Black Lives Matter sign, that white liberals put in their yard. It really is. They don't care about black lives or black lives don't matter. They're like, please don't burglarize my home, black people. That's what they're doing. I hope you know that, right? Yeah. Okay. And that's really what it's all about. So they white liberals like to keep black people or minorities at a real safe distance, which is why Democrat Party, you still don't have a minority who actually is progressing as your party leader. You've got Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi, and Debbie Klobuchar, and Liz Warren. And you notice everybody's white, right? Yeah, good. In fact, you guys hate minorities so much that you had to have minorities create what's called a squad. Instead of calling themselves Democrats, they had to actually name themselves completely something different because they didn't fit into your white power liberal structure, you see. You guys think that we're stupid. Like, we know exactly what's up with you guys. And we know exactly what's happening here. And Zoran doesn't know it yet, but he's a token for the white liberal establishment, and he'll do their bidding because they can't battle Trump on their own. So they have to get some vicious, racist, anti-Semite bully to do their fight for them. It's kind of like the Democrats loved it when Charlie Kirk was murdered because they didn't have to do it themselves. They love it when Antifa is lighting fires and causing problems and harassing people, everything else, because they don't have to do it themselves. They just can dog whistle out there and do it. So, Michael, you guys, the Democrat Party, you guys are racist. You're the party of violence. And just like the people who back into parking spaces, no one likes you. Jesus loves you. It's just that no one likes you. So I'm just telling you. I could explain this to you on down. Why don't you have me come speak to a group of Democrats that you might have, Michael? I'll come speak to your little group that you guys have. When you guys get together and drink citywide, right? Is that what you do? Get together, drink citywide, and with your Florida Leaf stickers on the back of your cars and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll come speak to your group. And then we'll do a food drive so that I can help you feed the hungry people you're refusing to feed and making President Trump do it for you. So it's pretty crazy. Where was I? Oh, Mexico. So people are, and by the way, Phil, wait 1 second here. Who said that? Phil said this. This is great. So Mamdani is trying to pick a fight with Donald Trump and Donald Trump's not going to even talk about the guy. He's so he wants attention from Donald Trump, and Donald Trump doesn't care about Mamdani because Donald Trump and the rest of us can just watch Mamdani fail right in front of our eyes. But you notice that he took on President Trump, right? Last night, gave this big speech. I'm coming for you, Whitey, in New York. I'm coming for you. And President Trump meanwhile, is busy at the America Business Forum, which is, which quite clearly is something very foreign to a guy like Mamdani, because he's never had a job. And he's a trust fund baby, and working doesn't really necessarily occur to him, and business certainly doesn't occur to him. But anyway, you notice President Trump didn't do one thing of any consequence on social media or otherwise about the election of Mamdani to New York, because nobody cares at the national level and what we're doing. And so, I mean, I know it's going to be disappointing to a lot of individuals, but that's just, kind of one of those things where Trump doesn't. Let's put it this way. I don't know who told Mamdani or any people in New York that he could shine President Trump's shoes even. But I don't know really who Zoran thinks he is. It's really weird. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to watch. And thank you, Phil, for the comments. Thank you all for the comments. Even you, Mr. Burton. You guys have fun with that whole thing, though, because I don't know. You guys are in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up, I'm finally going to get around to it because I was distracted because I had to gut Zoran. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to let him gut himself. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, this thing happening in Mexico is actually super heartwarming, and I hope that Republicans and conservatives and President Trump also provide some really huge support for the Mexican people, because they're in open revolt against their government and against the cartels, and we have to help them. But I'll explain that on the other side of this. Happy Wednesday to all of you. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Leopards lays ease on plush pillows, slender caves of raiding clone, paperback dreams in their deep toes, twitch their toes to black mambo.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
ClaytonSleep.com is the website, and the Clayton Sleep Institute, and Dr. Ogile, who is not just a wonderful good friend of mine, but also just an overall good guy and a worldwide sleep expert, my friends. So that basically means that if you are having trouble, and let's put it this way, I'm going to deal with this sleep apnea, otherwise known as snoring, is not just an individual problem. When you solve somebody's snoring problem and sleep apnea, you are actually solving everybody in the family sleeping problem too, because snoring affects everybody, including the kids in the other room, and it can be pretty bad. So it's not only affecting the life of the person because who's snoring, because actually your breathing is stopping, things that it's not healthy. You're not really getting a full night's sleep. It's interrupted. Your metabolism's slowing. You're gaining weight because of that, everything else. And so you need to resolve it. And some of you don't want to deal with it because you're afraid, oh, is that going to mean I'm going to have to sleep with a mask on, CPAP, and carry it around with me everywhere I go, my CPAP machine and all that other stuff? And the fact of the matter is, no, there are other ways of being able to resolve these sleep problems. And Dr. Ojal has those ways for you. So here's the situation, people. Let's get on it together. You can go to the sleep clinics, spend the night there. They're like boutique hotel rooms. You're going to love it. Or you can simply just have a consultation. He can figure out what is best for you by just taking take-home apparatus to you, and then you're on your way. ClaytonSleep.com. That's ClaytonSleep.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Foreign dark money has been funding leftist campaigns that have completely corrupted Missouri's constitution. We'll speak with Andy Backer of Protect Mo Voters at 5:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashton over there, and I got to tell you, this story really kind of stuck with me. As other sometimes these cartel assassinations don't. And this happened. Are you guys familiar with, you probably are to a certain degree, with the Day of the Dead? Are you familiar with that, Ashlyn? Yeah?
Yeah, I took Spanish in high school.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool. And actually, one of my favorite movies, and I'm telling you what, even though I have a lot of favorite movies of all time, but one of my favorite movies was a Disney movie called Coco. You like Coco? Yeah.
Yeah, I almost watched it the other day.
Oh, yeah. It's like one of my favorite movies, and it really is beautiful. And, I know some people are a little spooked by all the spiritual thing, but I think it's really cool. And, my mom, we had her service on Saturday, which would be All Saints Day or All Souls Day. And I think there's two different versions of it, but it's right after Halloween. And so in Mexico, they had this really amazing, beautiful event in the western city of Uruapan, and this is where the mayor is, and he was murdered by a cartel hitman during this public event. And if you saw, there's video of it, of him holding his little boy, and he is and there's beautiful lights everywhere, and it actually reminded me of the Coco movie because it was so mystical and so beautiful, and everybody in these outfits, and it really is pretty amazing. And all this color and all this kind of stuff, and it's just like beautiful event. And the mayor's name is Carlos Manzo, and people loved him in that region because he has been demanding that Mexican authorities and the Mexican government get a hold of the cartel problem. And in fact, a lot of people, and he also suggested that armed cartel members should be killed on the spot. So he had this El Salvador Bukele view, where Bukele went in and started arresting and just mauling all these drug dealers and that kind of stuff, and literally put 60,000 people in prison, and literally cured the crime problem in El Salvador to the point where right now El Salvador is one of the more popular surfing spots for American surfers, if you can believe that. El Salvador. You guys remember when we were kids, El Salvador was like a hellhole, right? Not anymore because of that. So he was given the nickname Mexican Bukele. He was a tough guy. And he would a lot of the pressure he put on people was through the government, saying you need to do better. He actually confronted the president of Mexico and said, you need to get a handle on this, because we can't live in this environment anymore. It's too dangerous. And he said, if I die doing this, maybe there's that possibility, because he had death threats. He wore a bulletproof vest and everything. Had some security, but obviously that failed him that night, on Saturday night. And he said, but I can't be afraid. And so he had to do what he had to do. And being a politician in Mexico, especially in some of these regions there where the cartels are wandering around, is really dangerous. I'm shocked people still do it. But he did. And so at one point, there was a senator. Her name is Lily Tellez. She actually, in the Senate, called out another senator and said, you need to do something about this problem, because a lot of these people in politics are also in bed with the cartel.
A ver, tú idiota, llora por Carlos Manzo, Noroña. No seas imbécil.
Yeah, she goes, why don't you try crying for Carlos Manzo? Instead of acting like nothing happened. And then we got into a situation where, at this point, protesters stormed the government palace. And this was this week. It was just the other day. They stormed the government palace. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know what your memory is like, but this is, I have not seen this in recent memory. Actually, the Mexican people standing up, because usually it's just so scary. They're so scared to do it that they wind up not doing it. But this time they stormed the palace, demanding more of a government effort to crush the cartels because they are causing so many problems. And of course, unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and go this route, because I believe that there are American politicians, mostly Democrat, who were helping the cartels and using the cartels to traffic illegal aliens into this country, have blood on their hands, and are also inextricably involved in what's happening in Mexico and the demise of of the people there, which is why I believe that it would behoove the Republicans and even the Trump administration and other people to start to actively be at war with the cartels. I don't know what that looks like. President Trump has even indicated that he would put troops in Mexico to go after the cartels. I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable sending troops into a foreign country in that situation like that, because that's really not what we voted for. But something needs to be done, and these people need support. It's not only these Mexican citizens who are storming the Capitol. There is a bunch of students who marched in Europan, which is the city that Mayor Carlos Manzo presided over as mayor, and they're chanting, "Carlos didn't die, the government killed him." And these are students. I mean, there are a lot of them too in the streets here. And to me, that's a significant development in Mexico, because I have not seen this happen before, where Mexican citizens, Mexican students, and others hit the streets against the cartels. And I do believe that President Trump and other individuals, I do believe that we can kind of force a tipping point here. And I'm not talking about regime change or any of that other stuff. What I'm talking about is this should be encouraged, and we shouldn't stop at that point. And the Christopher Landau, who is the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, asked for more of a greater security operations in Mexico, and Sheinbaum, the president, basically rebuffed him and said Mexico is a free and sovereign country. We accept help and information and intelligence, but not intervention. That's because she is a pole dancer for the cartels. There's almost zero possibility that she is not. So hopefully, when you have a corrupt government, I mean, this is like the worst. This is like, this is like the scariest mafia movie you could possibly imagine. When the government is actually in bed with the terrorists, or when the government is in bed with the mafia guys, that becomes a real problem. And if anybody can resolve this and change the tenor and change the tone, you got to imagine it's Marco Rubio, President Trump, and even for that matter, Homeland Security. But it's weird because they know where the cartels are. The cartels exist like car dealerships all throughout Mexico. They know where they are. I just don't understand why they don't do more to take care of it. But I will tell you, it's very impressive. It is unseen in the past, the Mexican people standing up, but it's really super cool. And I think it's something we can continue to pray for in terms of their success and everything else. So some good people down there. All right, good people out there. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Ashlyn, thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much. And coming up, it's Colombo and Company, Tony Colombo. This is News Talk STL. Thank you for listening.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's ivfloored.com.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health,